Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today I thought I would do a 5-year review of my Avid Cnc. Now I have a 4x10 Avid Cnc and I've been using it for 5 years. Now I had it up in my other shop in the basement for the first three years, I believe. And then I had to disassemble it and bring it down and this is my permanent shop. But right here you can see I made it, it has its own room. And I'm using the dust collection system with also a Oneida dust collector. And I would have to say this does not work that good. Even though, you know, it's got a nice big filter, nice big hose, it does suck. You really have to, in order for you to have, when I cut stuff out on my CNC, if you want this to pick up all your sawdust, you really have to slow down that speed. And I tend to use, when I'm cutting out, I make a lot of toys for kids, and then I also do some cabinet stuff for myself and different things for myself, but mostly my hobby is making toys for kids, and I really enjoy that. But this doesn't always pick it up very good. I tend to use up-down cutting bits to cut out stuff, and it tends to not suck up the sawdust that great. Now in my case, let me show you my CNC. Now here you can see I got my Avid checklist right there, and this is all my Avid tools and my computer. It's got a dedicated computer, all my different bits, and yeah. So matter of fact, these doors I made on my Avid CNC. That was probably one of my biggest projects that I ever did. It took quite a few hours to do those because of the 3D shovel and pick. But yeah, that was cool. Anyway, this is my CNC room, and let me show you what I did to my table. Okay, so right off the bat, when I first got this Avid CNC, I didn't really know anything about doing CNC work at all. Matter of fact, it was a learning experience. I started making a lot of signs, and that actually went well in the beginning. But after a while, I learned, you know, I started out, I did a T-track clamping system on my CNC. The whole table was a T-track system. And that actually worked really well for doing, like if I wanted to do signs, I'm basically just cutting on the top of the sign and I can clamp it down. But if you start manufacturing stuff, like a lot of times, especially when we get close to Christmas, I'm manufacturing like a lot of toys. Like this year it was all about a rocking horse. I made a whole bunch of rocking horses for some little kids, and that went really well. But the way that I design it in Vectric software, and then I bring it over here, and then I test out the first one. And once I get a prototype that's really, really good, then I'll go ahead and I'll cut a whole table's worth of stuff, and I can just batch them out really, really quick. Now, what I learned and the upgrades that I made. So on my Avid CNC, I've got the 8 horsepower? Yeah, I believe this is the 8 horsepower spindle. It's the biggest spindle that Avid offers at the time when I bought this. Now this is a 5-year review. Now I haven't had any trouble with this machine in the whole 5 years, but I keep it clean. I grease all my points. You know, you've got greasing spots in all your X, Y, and Z axes, and I keep those greased, and I try to keep it clean. Every time I use it that night, you know, I'll clean up the whole place. Now, the upgrades that I've done, the biggest upgrade was I I added the Hurricane vacuum system. I got rid of my whole T-track system, and I created a vacuum system. Basically, I created a bed underneath here. Let's see if you, it's pretty hard to see, but I'll see if I can add a picture of this. I think I did a video on how I made this. I'll try to add that. But so this whole table is a vacuum system. It has four different vacuum zones, and then I have 4 different valves down here. And it sucks it down tight. Now, the thing you want to do if you're doing a vacuum table is, so this is MDF material on the top. And you want to surface the top and the bottom, and that's kind of a pain in the ass because it's very, the MDF is a dusty, you don't want to breathe this, and but the nice thing about MDF is if you surface off that finish, just take like, as minimal as you can take. If your table's nice and flat, you can take just a minimal piece off of there. So I surfaced the bottom and the top of the MDF, and it allows the air to suck right up through here. And one thing you want to do, matter of fact, I just noticed that I forgot to do it this time. I just recently replaced this spoil board. And what you want to do is when you surface the top and the bottom, you want to take, and I use like a shellac sealer. You want to seal the sides of it because you will lose air out of these little sides. So I'll go around the whole thing and I'll shellac seal just this little piece, this side piece right here. Matter of fact, my whole top spoil board, I'll show you some pictures of when I did it, but the whole top spoil board the vacuum board, after I CNC'd the whole vacuum board, I then shellacked that whole thing so that the airflow, I wouldn't lose any airflow in it. But 5 years with this CNC, it's been really good. The way I do things now, like I said, I use a vacuum table. I use the Hurricane vacuum system. And what I do is I've basically got I've got markers right here, pins. And what I'll do is like if I'm batching the same thing every time, I'll cut my plywood. I'll cut the plywood pieces ahead of time, and then I'll just set it right in there. And once I do my 0, I cut it, pull it back up, throw another piece in. There's no clamping or anything, and that works really well. Actually, I've had no trouble with that. I just keep cutting them out. And if I'm doing a really big project, like let's say I have 100 rocking horses to do, which I recently did, then what I'll do is I'll set a sheet of plywood on this whole table, and I'll basically cut the whole sheet, and then I'll pull it off, clean it, put another sheet on, hit start, and I can cut multiple sheets at a time really quick. The only downside to doing full sheets like that is you're cutting. The spoil board is a pain in the ass to make, and they're heavy. This is a 4x10 sheet, or is it 4x? No, I'm sorry. It's like 49 by 99. They're big sheets, but they do cover the whole thing. And the only bad part when you cut, now you can keep batching out like hundreds of little rocking horses or race cars or whatever you're making with this same spoil board, as long as you don't change your design. So if you start cutting big sheets of rocking horses, and then you pull it all off and you clean it and you switch and you start cutting race cars, well, those cuts that are in this spoil board will start losing air in the wrong directions. And so I've learned to like figure out your projects, and like right here, this particular spoil board, it has a sled, a Christmas sled on it, and basically I can keep cutting that same one out, and it barely cuts through it, but these marks stay the same for all those sleds. And I actually recently made, I think, 10 of these, and yeah, they came out pretty good. But yeah, Avid CNC. I'm actually considering. I like to work with metal too. I've had such good luck with this Avid CNC that I'm actually considering purchasing their Avid plasma table, and they make a small. I don't need a big one, but I was thinking about a 4x4 plasma table, which I would recommend Avid CNC. I mean, I really have had no trouble with them. You can get all these parts can be replaced, and actually, I bought extra belts and replacement parts when I first bought this. But it's been 5 years. I'm running all the same belts. I use this thing at least once a week. I make it a habit to always, keep fresh and keep drawing and making things. And usually it's prototypes for toys for kids is usually what I make. But I enjoy it, so that's what I do. And sometimes I'll make some signs for a neighbor or something. But yeah, the Avid CNC plasma table, the Avid CNC. Yeah, 5 years I've had this, and it's been great. It's pretty stiff. I have thought about anchoring it down to my concrete because it's pretty much permanent in this room now, and I think that would even stiffen it up more. It does. If I'm doing something really fast, it does move around a little bit. But yeah, all in all, I'd have to give it a thumbs up, and I would recommend Avid CNC. I'm not sponsored by them, but it has been a really good machine, and I've been really happy with it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break it